Everyone, and welcome to week five. Actually, not even week five, the quarterfinals of the Omen encounter. First up tonight is going to be Nightblue's team versus Imaqtpie squad. The winner of these games, this is a best of five, by the way, will go on to face Trick2G. Once again, it is I, Sifa, your solo caster for the evening. Jumping into picks and bans a little bit late. We do have Jana, Thresh, and Gnar banned out on the side of Nightblue squad. Azir, Rek'Sai, and Draven banned out from Imaqtpie's team. In the immediate first pick Lee Sin here. So Zen the solo King picking up that Lee Sin, probably going to go to Nightblue. Lee Sin, of course, still very powerful in this new jungle. Not quite as powerful as he used to be, of course. Consistently seeing nerfs in the past, but always has had a solid clear. Always has had a lot of early game pressure. So should be pretty good here. Should do pretty well for them. We do see the Graves hover over on the side of Cutie Pie's team. We do have Ethel on AD carry, and he has, of course, played a lot of games in this series. So there will be no surprise there if they do decide to grab this. Of course, with Jana and Thresh banned out, you can tell they're trying to shut down Biofrost here. Biofrost, a very strong player, 8 wins under his belt in the regular weeks, those first 4, of course. I'm a Cutie Pie locking in the Nunu, though. Most likely going to be Nunu jungle. Can't imagine it going anywhere else. Nunu, of course, definitely not my favorite jungler. Can be played extremely well and can have a lot of impact on a team. But with an AD carry like Graves, Graves doesn't exactly benefit from that blood boil as much as other AD carries do, simply because Graves doesn't have quite the range that a carry like Kaylin or Tristana would have. So interesting to see exactly how they utilize this and where this Noon is going to go. I'm guessing most likely jungle, but in this tournament, you never really know. Of course, there's a lot of innovation that's happened in the past, and so we'll have to see exactly how it works out here. Golden Glue hovering over Lissandra. No surprises there if that's locked in. Lissandra, definitely a very strong character, arguably the strongest on the current patch, especially with Janna currently banned. There's really no way to get Lissandra off of your team at all. Janna herself, not the best at it, or will probably the best at it, but still not a great option to deal with Lissandra. Lissandra, of course, having just so much CC, fighting so well in those pinches and in those kind of funnel situations. Nightblue hovering over the Corki here. Corki has a weak lane matchup against Graves, so an interesting choice there. I wonder if we'll see a lane swap coming out from Nightblue's team. Not sure exactly how this is going to work out. Fabi, though, a very confident player. Should see him doing a lot of work on this champion in the bot lane. Has had a shaky couple of weeks, but, expect him to step it up here. This is kind of the finals. This is, a best of 5, but obviously whatever team loses here is out of the tournament completely. Won't get another shot at the prize money, and there is $10,000 on the line, ladies and gentlemen. If you want any more information about the tournament standings or the way it is set up, please head on over to omen.gg. I'm not sure if you can vote anymore to enter that laptop giveaway, but I do know that you can get all the info you need about the upcoming games and about which players have placed the best in the regular season. Cutie Pie's bans are a little interesting. Azir banned away from Golden Glue, no surprise. Rek'Sai, very powerful right now. A lot of people are saying broken. We'll expect him to see him get toned down a little bit in the next patch, but in the meantime, a ban is a good way to keep him out of the pool. Draven, of course, banned away from Fabi, no surprises there, but Fabi now going to play Corki. Curious to see what exactly they're going to pair with this Corki pick. Soraka coming in most likely for Biofrost. That Soraka pick notably strong against Janna in the bot lane, but doesn't necessarily have the best matchup against the other supports. So it'll be interesting to see how exactly they utilize that pick, but not sure exactly how effective it's going to be. Graves already has a decent matchup, though, so having a support without a whole ton of impact outside of a heal shouldn't be a big deal. And, of course, Graves, with those enhanced resistances from his passive, is going to get the most out of the Soraka heal. Grigny looks like he's going to be picking up the Vi this game, although the Vi could go anywhere. We do have a Nunu and a Vi, 2 very standard jungle picks, so obviously one of them is not going to be put in the jungle. Curious to see where Nunu's going to end up. Doubt is could it be a support Nunu? I haven't seen a support Nunu in a long time since his abilities were nerfed. That was almost a year ago now. Fabi on the other side, hovering over this J4 pick for Nightblue. J4 obviously pretty similar to Lee Sin in the strength that in the sense that he's a very standard strength jungler, does pretty well on any team comp, can offer a lot of utility, can gank early, has pretty linear power scaling, so is relevant through every stage of the game in one way or another. In the early game, of course, through CC and damage, the ability to gank lanes early, and of course in the late game, the Cataclysm is just so very strong. Zingy picking up the Vel'Koz. I'm guessing that this is actually a support Vel'Koz. I wouldn't be too surprised to see that, but Vel'Koz support, of course, not ideal in a lot of situations, does have a lot of poke in that bot lane, but against a Soraka, you're not going to really reliably be able to poke down the AD carry, so I guess your plan has to be to poke down the Soraka, try to deny her the heals at least a little bit, but when your lane is already at a disadvantage just from the Graves versus Corki matchup, it's going to be really tough in that situation. Xerath the hover over here, wouldn't be surprised to see the Xerath locked in at all. Xerath, of course, just has such great range compared to Lissandra's, honestly pretty pitiful range on a lot of her skills. The Ice Shard only having decent range if it hits a minion, and if you really don't want to be pushing all day as Lissandra, her ways to deal with the jungle gank are limited. She does have, of course, that claw to get out, but it's not excellent to burn it, and her defensive cooldowns pre-6 aren't amazing. They're just too short range, especially against a Vi in the mid to late game. Of course, Lundra will be able to ult herself, though, getting that similar to Zanya's effect along with doing damage. So can protect herself from Vi, but cannot, however, lock Vi down as Vi pursues the team. Looks like Zen the Soul King is going to be picking up the J4 top. J4 top, something we've seen used in OGN versus Lissandra. So not something we've seen outside of that, though. So it'll be interesting to see how it fares in this, looks like J4 versus Nunu matchup. So J4 and Nunu, obviously, two very different champions. J4 has a lot of potential in the all-in, and Nunu obviously has a lot of sustain. So Meanwhile, Lee Sin and Vi in the jungle, both of them pretty strong level 6 ganks. I don't expect to see a whole ton out of Grigny in the early game, but Nightblue on Lee Sin, this is a playmaking champion. It has to get an advantage early game. It doesn't scale nearly as well as Vi into the late game. And of course, Vi in the late game is going to be able to initiate anytime she wants. So none of the CC on the enemy team is going to do anything against that. The bot lane, meanwhile, Fabi and Zingy versus Ethel and Biofrost. Zingy, of course, a jungle main, whereas Ethel and Biofrost are both in their comfortable roles. Curious to see exactly what goes down here, exactly how this is going to turn out, and then, of course, the range difference in the mid lane is going to be huge. You notice that Golden Glue is going for Ignite there, does want a little bit more burst damage, but it's not going to be able to get in a range to use it, I imagine, for most of this laning phase. Well, guys, we have 2 minutes left on the spectator delay. If you're looking for any more information on the tournament or how exactly we're going to be doing this, it is OGN regional style, so 3rd and 4th place are playing now, and then the winner of this will go on to play 2nd place, which is Trick2G, and then the winner of that will go on to face Voyboy, who's currently the 1st seed. Seeds are decided by point totals. Points are generated from our regular week's games. You can find all that info at omen.gg. We will be back in just about 2 minutes. When the game starts, of course. Got to get through the spectator delay. Got to give myself a break. I will be solo casting this best of 5. I look forward to seeing you guys here. Be right back. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Game 1 in this Best of 5 series. I'm your host, Sifa, tonight. Jumping in for Nightblue's team versus QtPie's squad here. QtPie in the top lane tonight. The man of a million roles, now a solo Q legend since he's left Team Dignitas, is opting to go that new top. Not something we've seen before. The first thing I want to talk about right off the bat, other than this level 1 aggressive play or aggressive movement coming out from Nightblue's side, is, of course, this team comp from Nightblue. We do have the Lee Sin, excellent character for getting picks, excellent character for follow-up on J4 or from the Lissandra. Definitely a pinch-oriented comp. They definitely want to fight in these thin pathways whenever possible. They have a lot of AoE presence from Lissandra. They can generate pinches, but instant aggression coming out there from Nightblue. Does get the Resonating Strike, or the Sonic Wave into the Resonating Strike. Does not follow up much past that. The team not in position to respond. So with this pinch kind of team comp, what you're going to see a lot of the times in the game is that they're always going to want to fight in these thin corridors. They have that Vel'Koz damage, Vel'Koz not needing to build a whole ton of AP to get the maximum value out of his ult. It is, of course, has an insane base value and pretty decent scaling with the passive. So curious to see how QtPie's team is going to play against this. They obviously have a lot of mobility with the Nunu pick and a lot of sustain with Soraka. But the Nunu, without a hyper-scaling AD carry like Tristana, Kog'Maw, or even Caitlyn, who has that long range, Nunu's kind of an awkward pick. And QtPie, of course, known to play champions that are less than conventional. So curious to see how he uses this one. Maybe he has a strategy figured out. We have seen him go AP Nunu. For those of you who haven't seen this kind of a highlight video on Reddit, I'm sure you could find it. Gets a couple of kills. Picks it up pretty easy. Grigny opting to start on those Krugs there. No surprises. Krugs, obviously, the most ideal camp. Are going to be able to stun out those minions as you clear the jungle, making the clear incredibly easy. Lee Sin on the bottom side is going to opt to start the red buff. Nightblue does love that red buff start. It will be interesting to see exactly what he does with it here. You can see a little bit of vision in the jungle coming out. Trying to give both sides a sense of where those junglers are going to be starting. As Zingy, of course, had that book in the bottom side brush. Was trying to see if Grigny was going to start Gromp. Grigny, of course, did not. So they have at least a little bit of information as far as how the junglers are going to path, which is going to be pretty crucial in this early game, given that Nightblue is playing Lee Sin and, you know, has these opportunities to either try to duel Vi in the jungle or perhaps try to escape. Fabi taking a ton of damage there, Ethel taking full advantage of those improved resistances and of Vel'Koz's lackluster early game damage. Vel'Koz, of course, needing to get a couple levels under his belt before those bases are going to do sufficient damage to discourage Ethel from going in and Biofrost. A master support player, definitely one of the stars in this series, is clearly looking very comfortable on Soraka. Not that it takes a whole lot. Hasn't landed a Q yet, but hasn't needed to. Using those heals very smart on Ethel. And Ethel, of course, always eager to trade, always eager to play forward. One of Ethel's big weaknesses in this series has been, or in this tournament in the past, has been playing too forward. But when you have a Soraka on your team, a lot of that is kind of mitigated because Soraka can keep you healthy and can keep you full. You can see now Fabi trying to recoup a little bit of EXP and CS. He lost for getting zoned out of lane there. But, yeah, it's going to be hard to CS under tower in this circumstance. Doesn't have a full ton of AD. Does have a Zingy there to back him up, though. And the big question is their communication good enough to get functional CSing under tower? And it's looking pretty good at this point in the game. Fabi's at 8 to Ethel's 11. Not bad for a losing lane matchup. And, of course, Nightblue going in on the top lane there. Imaqtpie looking like in a rough situation. Oh, it looks like the EQ combo is not going to hit. The Q went in, but, of course, that Demacian standard didn't predict the flash there. Imaqtpie going to have to back out here. And this is one of the big weaknesses. You know, Nunu doesn't have a whole lot of potential in this early game when he's trapped in lane. There's not a whole lot of tricky things he can do with mobility. Doesn't have a lot of ground to run away. And the Lee Sin J4 combo at level 3 is pretty brutal, given how strong most of those characters' all-ins are. Imaqtpie healing up here. Will have Consume up again in a couple seconds. Actually does have it now and uses it, so it's almost full health. Did have to burn TP to get back in the top lane. No surprises, both the jungler and the top laner are going to back here. Going to use that wave pressure advantage, try to go back and get a few more items. Lee Sin immediately opting for that Stalker's Blade. Going to get the Chilling Smite. Going to gank as much as possible. You can see immediately he tried to put pressure down in that top lane, and I imagine we'll continue to see that pressure coming out. Although, admittedly, the bot lane is having a pretty tough time, so there is going to be some need for Nightblue to apply attention there, and he is headed down to the bottom side of the map. Interesting to see exactly what he's going to do here. It looks like Grigny on Vi may try to jump over the wall here. Get kind of a sneaky gank on the bottom side of this map. Their options for diving tower are pretty limited, though, at this point. Grigny actually appears to be soloing Dragon, so not exactly sure how this one is going to work out here, but Grigny dropping very low. May have a strat here. Very low health, nearly dead. Will Grigny solo it? I'm a little skeptical. I imagine this is something that's been practiced. And it looks like they are going to get the Dragon there. So the Grigny solo Dragon, folks. I didn't get to see the cam on that one, actually, so I don't know exactly how he pulled it off, but the early solo Dragon is going to be huge here. Ethel already has a sizable advantage in lane, and as that advantage gets larger, and as Ethel gets closer and closer to that BF sword, the advantage is only going to get bigger with that 6% and 80 and AP buff. Now, with a Nunu on the team, you would think that the duo Dragon would come out at some point. You know, you would think that that would work. And of course, that's the kind of cheese you would expect playing against it. But when Nunu's in the top lane, are you ever going to expect that level 4 Vi solo Dragon clear? Now, I looked down, of course, on the minimap and, of course, in my spectator client and thought, well, Vi must be, you know, the cheese gank through Tri-Rush. She's got a Q over the wall. It'll come together. Maybe it'll work. Maybe they'll die. You know, who knows? They have that Soraka heal to take it pull it off. But no, the Dragon. So great play from Grigny. Dragon giving them a small gold lead here. Of course, no longer giving a global gold bonus. So actually, no gold lead. But you are going to notice the stat advantage is going to go to the side of Imaqtpie's team. Imaqtpie himself farming pretty safely in this top lane now that he's got a couple levels. Does have that Glacial Shroud. Has a little bit of cooldown reduction. And, of course, a lot of sustain coming in from that Consume. Bot lane still struggling. Half of Ethel's CS for Fabi, 21 to 47 at this point, 48 now. Ethel doing so well, farming so aggressively, and it looks like not a good lane matchup at all for Fabi. Fabi known to counterpick himself in a lot of these lane situations. Not sure if he just has a different opinion about how this lane should play out, like if he believes that Corki is the counter to Graves. I think less than conventional, or if he just wants him to challenge himself. You know, Fabi, obviously a player who's played on a number of challenger teams, played very confidently as well, and it would not surprise me at all to see him do something like that, you know, to challenge himself and perhaps to throw a little disrespect Ethel's way. Ethel had an excellent couple of weeks. Superior score to Fabi's in a lot of ways. Be curious to see exactly how these two match up as the game continues and as they get out of laning phase. Both top laners now level 6, both mid laners now level 6. This is where we can expect to start seeing plays here. You can see Fabi and Zingy going aggressive in the bot lane with their level 5. You can see a lot of that burst damage coming in, but that is going to get healed up very quickly by Biofrost. Biofrost more than happy to trade a little bit of his health to give Ethel a little bit more. In the mid lane, surprisingly even matchup. Golden Glue actually with a little bit of a CS advantage, so maybe the aggressive playstyle coming out from Golden Glue has played out dividends here. Lova, of course, has to be careful in this mid lane because at any moment, Lissandra is going to be able to go in, and if J4 is there to follow up, or Nightblue on Lee Sin is there to follow up, things could go wrong, but it looks like Nightblue is going to try to get that inside kick. He does get the flash kick off. They are going into Ethel. Ethel is trying to burn his own flash, but they get knocked up by a Ziggy there. It looks like he is going to go down. They do give that to Nightblue. Nightblue, of course, the first kill of the game. Excellent play, excellent gank. Burns all of his cooldowns, fails the insect at first, then gets the flash kick off of it instead. Warthog was a little slow, but when you got the flash up as well, no problem there. And a little bit of a sloppy flash from Ethel. You know, definitely didn't predict the flash kick. You can see that Nightblue flash mid-kick animation, and I think that tripped up Ethel there. Ethel not quite fast enough response time there. Maybe needs a little bit of a lower ping. Who knows? Zingy now level 6, Fabi now level 6, and this is where this lane is going to start to turn, you know. They both have their ultimates available. Fabi now will be able to poke just as much as the Zingy. Nightblue going with, he may go in here. They have to be careful. Golden Glue is going to go in. They are going to be able to take down Briggy in this situation. Is Lova going to be able to get Nightblue is the big question. Golden Glue does have red buff here. Is going to be aggressive with his auto attacks. Doesn't have to play too careful. Lova does not have the mana, but does have the passive. Can get a little bit of it back if Golden Glue tries to dive. Excellent play there. Excellent pickup. Looks like a little bit of cocky play from Nightblue, but when Golden Glue came in from the side, it's just going to work out so well. They are going to try to take out Lova a little bit too eager for this kill, and is instead going to go down to Golden Glue. Never mind, the flash and the E burned Golden Glue. Too eager for that kill. Red buff not doing quite enough damage, but it doesn't look like either side is going to get anything out of that. So no harm, no foul there. Golden Glue does still have flash. Didn't want to play too aggressive under that turret, and Lova. You know, a little bit sloppy play, like letting Golden Glue push on top of him like that. And Zen the Soul King immediately killing QtPie. QtPie trying to channel the ult there, but it's getting it canceled by that flag and drag, followed up by the Cataclysm. So much burst damage from this level 8 Jarvan. You can see already building full AD. Would not be surprised to see a Tiamat come out here. Nunu, of course, really lacks any good way to wave clear. So if you can just push out with Tiamat, you can pretty much ignore him, and you never have to duel him in those 1v1 situations where he's just so powerful. QtPie appears to be rushing Frozen Heart in this situation. Wouldn't be too surprised. Does get that 20% attack speed debuff, which is pretty relevant against a J4, a Lee Sin, and of course, as well. Nightblue goes in for the last auto attack, doesn't quite in range, so he uses the kick instead. A little cocky there. Turn back for it, maybe trying to attribute the kill to Golden Glue, but sloppy play from Lova to get caught out there. Excellent ganks from from Nightblue, and good synergy with Golden Glue there. Nightblue, I mentioned earlier how he had to get the early game advantage, and it's worked out pretty well for him. 2-0-1 now, 10 minutes in, 4-0 for the team. Solo kills in top lane, solo kill in the mid, almost a solo kill in the mid lane as well. Of course, that Vi kill earlier with the help of Lee Sin. So excellent play coming out from the side of Nightblue's team. They definitely want to get this one. For those of you who watched the draft, you can remember Nightblue wasn't as clear on the rules as he started out. Picked some players with lower points like Zen the Solo King, but Zen the Solo King looks like he's a strong pick here. Is kind of beating on QtPie in this top lane despite not having a huge CS advantage. Does have that kill and is probably going to be able to all in here in the future very easily. QtPie, however, using full advantage of that sustain, looks like he is going to just consume every time it's off cooldown. No surprises there. Zen the Solo King, despite rotating frequently, not able to get a huge advantage in that lane. And Nightblue, as I mentioned earlier, when you watch the draft, you saw he's a little nervous, he's a little shaky, you know, didn't quite know exactly what was going to happen here. So picked the team with the lowest point value, of course. Put himself into 4th place, gave himself the hardest bracket, gonna have to beat out 3 teams if he wants to win the tournament. But if he keeps playing like this, you know, 4-0 lead, 1k gold lead at 11 minutes, a lot of solo kill action, a lot of solo aggression. It looks like he may have a team that could do this. Of course, on the opposite side, QtPie's squad looking still very strong though. 97 farm on Ethel, the Corki's 72, so obviously a pretty substantial advantage in that bot lane, but of course balanced out by the 10 CS advantage coming in from Golden Glue in the mid lane. First dragon coming out from Golden Glue's squad. Golden Glue immediately gonna blow his full rotation to get the kill there. Ethel may go down here. Ethel is gonna go down to Nightblue as Zingy blowing his full rotation to get the knock-up off there. Fabi is gonna go down at that point. Fabi is gonna take down Lova. Biofrost has to be careful here, doesn't get a chance to get the Q off to gain health, and is going to go down to Zen the Solo King. So excellent man movement from the team as a whole. It looks like they may try to push down this bottom lane turret, and good team fight overall. So early cooldown for Lissandra does zone out the rest of the team though, and does keep her reliably safe as she kills the target immediately. Does have to back out, of course, as Lova tries to follow up, but Lova almost immediately taken out afterwards. So good team play overall. Zen the Solo King getting the exhaust from Soraka as well as the kill is going to be huge in these next couple of team fights, especially now that their team has such a substantial gold advantage. 3k. You know, that small 1k gold lead at 10 minutes turns into 3k at 12, and if they keep going at this rate, Nightblue's team is going to take this game very commandingly. Nightblue looking very confident at this point, has the Warrior Enchantment, has the Sightstone, is going to look for Grigny in the jungle here. More than happy to 1v1 fight in this situation. Grigny, of course, going to charge that to try to get away. Does get this off. Wave Resonating Strike into the Insect, the unnecessary Ward Hop Insect even, but just such good play there. Golden Glue now looking to play aggressive on a Love Lava, does have ultimate available, does not have ultimate available, so does not opt to go in. Love Lava now gonna try to push out this bot lane, or this mid lane, give himself a little bit of safety by pushing those creeps to tower, but, you know, how long is it gonna last? Nightblue now pinging out the enemy red buff, gonna play deep here. They do have vision control all over the enemy jungle, such good map control from them. And you can see on the opposite side, PewDiePie's team putting a lot of emphasis on that dragon, but since it's down right now, a lot of those wards have ended up being wasted. They weren't able to contest the last dragon. When they tried to, of course, it turned against them pretty darn quickly. So once again, Graves still that 20 CS lead in the bot lane, but 0-2 and 0 to Fabby's 1-0 and 3. Corky may not be as strong in the lane, but once you get to those team fights, pushing for so much Golden Glue bonus for rotation there. Zen, the Solo King, ulting in immediately. No surprises there, folks. You blow all your cooldowns as Lissandra and Jarvan, someone is going to die. There is nothing anyone is going to do about it. You know, the lockdown is just too strong, and there's just not enough defensive cooldowns in the world to protect them. QSS will come out eventually from PewDiePie's squad, but it's not going to do a whole lot because, you know, of course, you need to QSS and flash to escape the Jarvan and the Lissandra, and as the game moves forward and as those two continue to accrue such large gold advantages, QSS isn't going to stop the damage, and between the full AD Jarvan and that kind of AP cooldown reduction Lissandra, they're pretty much going to be able to burst down anyone, especially with this now 4K gold advantage. Fabby playing hyper aggressive here in the bot lane, seeing that Ethel is out of mana. Grigny, it looks like he might be trying to get ganked here. Zen is burn too many cooldowns. Looks like he's going to go down to Imaqtpie there, actually. Grigny making sure to follow up with that assault in the battery. Ethel in trouble here. Fabby, low health, but compared to Ethel's no mana, going to be able to trade pretty efficiently there. Grigny and Imaqtpie using full advantage of that Blood Boil to try to take down this turret. Nightblue playing aggressive in the bot lane. Sees that Ethel has low mana, though. Definitely cautious about how they want to play this tower dive. Of course, Fabby is at about half health. Zingy, however, does have ultimate available. You need to be careful here. Soraka has ultimate, but no exhaust. Nightblue picking it back to the team. Ethel may go down here. Of course, that Spellcast ult just doing so much work here. PewDiePie is going to TP down. PewDiePie not having his ult cooldown, though, and not having enough mobility to chase in this situation. Of course, Nunu and Soraka. You may not be able to kill either of them, but they're not going to kill you either. There's just not enough damage from either of those champions in this situation. Especially in like a 2v3 situation. So excellent play from Nightblue once again. Nightblue, you know, in the past, not the best Line Sin player. You know, has shown a lot of mistakes in these games. Definitely looks more comfortable on champions like Pantheon, champions like Elise, but looks to have stepped it up this week. Is definitely ready, looking strong, making the plays. 4-0 and 3 now, 52 CS in that jungle. Overall, doing incredibly well. Mid laner tied up. Nightblue gonna go in here on Love Lava. Immediate kill from the team as a whole. Smooth rotations, no responses from PewDiePie's team. PewDiePie's team looked to be permanently put on the back foot, not responding well to the situation. 12-1, 25.3k to 21k. Huge advantage for Nightblue's team. 15 minutes in, and they have a 4k, almost now a 5k advantage as that turret goes down. Slightly more than a 5k advantage. Nightblue going to tribute this with blue buff on over to Golden Glue. Golden Glue approaching 40% CDR. Going to be able to get off those frozen tombs very often. Zen the Solo King getting aggressed on here. Imaqtpie and Grigny following as fast as they can. The Ice Ball does come out. They are going to back off, however, a little nervous as far as to where the enemy team is. Zen the Solo King is going to get that pink ward for free, and Nightblue is hanging around, ready to follow up if need be. Fabby solo pushing the bottom turret. Too much pressure, too much power coming out from each of these champions. There is no one on PewDiePie's team who can 1v1 Nightblue or Zen the Solo King at this point, so they have to commit a couple people to get them out of the jungle or to push them out of lane. So meanwhile, Fabby, of course, just a free solo split push at this point in the game, despite not being, you know, very powerful. Does have that Trinity Force power spike, is going to be able to keep up with the Graves at this point. May not be able to match in burst damage, but in sustained damage, obviously, Corky's just going to do so well. Zen the Solo King sweeping it out there, does see both PewDiePie and Love Lava in that situation. Fabby now playing very aggressive. They have to be careful here. Vi does have her assault and battery available, and it looks like they're just going to try to secure blue buff, but may have to back off just because they don't have the power. Now, if they get caught out here, this is going to be incredibly dangerous for them. Zen the Solo King and Golden Glue more than happy to fight in this pinch, more than happy to get their damage off on every single character on the team. Fabby, of course, also with that Phosphorus Bomb, going to have a smooth follow-up. Nightblue jumping over the wall. A little bit of a flashy steal there. Once again, just another testament to Nightblue's excellent play this game. You know, not normally the carry style or jungler in a lot of these games, but obviously has stepped up for this week. Definitely wants to win the tournament and has shown it here. He has to be careful here, though. He gets a little aggressive. Gonna jump back to Fabby to keep himself safe, and meanwhile, his team is going to take down that mid lane turret. So, once again, gold lead ever rising, about 7K now. So remember that at 10 minutes we saw 1K, and now we're at 17, and it is 7K. So it appears to be rising constantly. Nightblue gonna look to get a kill on Grigny here. Grigny immediately healed by the Rock Hall, but still gonna tank that resonating, or that Sonic Wave into the resonating strike. Imaqtpie gonna flash the gold through the alcohol, so the flash is worthless, flashing and then immediately getting stunned afterwards because the cooldown was used. This is a rough game, you know, and the big question at this point is what can QtPie do to get back? And honestly, there's not a whole lot. He needs to look for picks. He needs to look for situations where he can get multiple characters fighting a single character on the enemy team. And Golden Glue now playing hyper aggressive onto Ethel here, pushing up this lane despite the fact that his team is taking Dragon. That is going to be, it looks like the third Dragon for for Golden Glue and Nightblue squad. So they are going to have that movement speed buff. It's going to come in huge for them at this point in the game, and you know, that's going to make it even harder for QtPie's team to do anything. Sorry, second Dragon buff, so no movement speed. They are going to do bonus damage to towers, and when you're already ahead, that also will be a big deal. Golden Glue going, looks like he might be going the damage route. Could be going into Zanya's Hourglass. Even no surprises there. This is sort of the standard mid lane Lissandra build. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Zen the Solo King looking strong on this Jarvan top lane pick. Got that pickaxe available, may go for Last Whisper immediately. There is a lot of armor built on the enemy team, but you can see across the side on QtPie's team, no items finished for the majority of the squad. Graves, of course, opting to go for the Avarice Blade. Ethel, more than happy to farm and get a little bit of extra gold from that item, but still hasn't finished Infinity Edge, so still isn't going to have anywhere near the amount of team fight damage that Quirky does in a lot of these situations. Bioprocess, he might get caught out here. The snare is not going to go off. Abby's just going to pull off a couple auto attacks to make that happen. Then the gold being jumping out instead of in. So that QtPie needing all of Abby. Going to sit on the outside and clean that up as then the Solo King traps by in that Cataclysm. Golden Glue backing off of Ethel in the mid lane. QtPie is going to have to back up here, but will give up his turret. You know, a little bit of a poor commitment of resources from QtPie squad, committing too much to kill Zen the Solo King, who is, you know, despite building full AD, still has some foe tanky stats from that. From the shield, and additionally just has a lot of CC and a lot of escape abilities that make him really difficult to catch. But really the only person who's going to be easy to catch on the team at this point is Azingi, and Azingi never caught out alone, always warming with the team, so knows his place on this team comp, knows that he has to play back, known to play aggressive in the jungle, but doing pretty well on the support role. You know, 0-0 and 6, the ideal support score. No kills, no deaths, just assists. At this point, Nightblue going to jump back in here, is going to flash back, going to kick Biofrost into Ethel, or attempt to Ethel, not going to get it out there. And it looks like Biofrost is going to go down in that situation. Zerathalt coming out, is using the hot feet and the heal. Try to dodge that. But looks like the last shot, Love Level with the patience, not throwing out all three immediately, is going to get the kill onto Nightblue in that situation. The shutdown gold going to come in handy here. Does not mitigate any of the 7K gold lead, but stops it from being an 8K gold lead at this stage in the game. Love Level more than happy to go use that. Hopefully we'll get the Void Staff here shortly. May go for a different item entirely. You know, when you're behind, your itemization obviously has to change drastically. I'm curious to see exactly what Love Level is going to build. Definitely needs a Zanyas, definitely needs a Death Cap, needs a lot of items at this stage in the game. And, you know, when you're now 9K gold behind, it's kind of a rough game. Golden Glue, meanwhile, sitting in the bot lane, trying to play with Ethel here. Trying to roll his full combo, but does not see Biofrost around the corner, so is not going to do it all in here to get a kill. Then the Solo King, however, looks like he might. Krigny getting the perfect flash over the wall there. Of course, that wall you have to be right up on it to get the flash over. They are, however, going to pull it off, and Krigny is going to escape. Does have to burn that flash and go down, and may go down to his Zingy here. Zingy, no sight over the wall, means he's not going to be able to see Krigny walking up there. Prediction just a little bit off, and now the team as a whole is going to push down into this bot lane. They know their strength lies in the team fight. They know QtPie's lineup has no way to deal with their team as a whole at this stage in the game. And of course, when you have such a substantial gold lead, tower dives are pretty easy. Of course, Cassandra does not have her ultimate available, and neither does Jarvan though, so tower diving at this point could be a little hazardous, and there's no need for Nightblue's team to risk throwing away their lead at this stage in the game. Golden Glue instead will opt to push down the mid lane. You can see Nightblue's team haltering a little bit, not clear exactly what their strategy is at this stage of the game. Clearly not as comfortable with this much of a gold lead. And of course, QtPie's team so far back that they can't really play aggressive here, so there's no huge opportunities for Nightblue to catch out. Nightblue looks like he wants to take it. Fabi going to jump over the wall and immediately take down Grigny after that dragon kick from Leeson. He's going to go now aggressive onto Ethel. Looks like J4 in the background. That's Solo King trying to go down onto Love Lava here, not going to be able to get anything from it, of course. Still does not have Cataclysm available. Will have it up shooting. Golden Blue with that full CDR build is, however, going to have his ultimate available. They can try to take a dive here, but of course, Love Lava, despite being behind an itemization, is going to be able to clear out those waves with relative ease. Leaving out the wards here, don't want to get dived on the tower. However, Nightblue's team does have absolute control on the bottom side of this jungle. It looks like Golden Blue is going to be able to pick up that blue buff relatively easily. Well, maybe not relatively easily. Lissandra obviously struggling a little bit to solo clear the blue buff. But when the blue buff does go down, that is going to max out the cooldown reduction. And of course, 5-0-3 now with both the Morellonomicon and the Zhonya's Hourglass means that Lissandra has those faux tanky stats that she just loves so much. 2 functional uses of Zhonya's if need be. Additionally, so much CC and so much damage in a lot of these situations. You can see every lane getting pushed out. You can see absolute map control coming out from the side of Nightblue's team. They do have pink wards in the enemy bot side jungle. The only place they lack vision, of course, is on the top side of the map. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this put up almost immediately. One of PewDiePie's squad's few options is to get a Baron. But they, of course, need to contest an enemy Baron or kill a couple people before they attempt it because, you know, in an even contestant, there's nothing going to happen down there. Ethel burning all the cooldowns to try to get the fight there. Fabi is going to take him down, however. The Blade of the Rune King coming in huge there, giving him enough heal to survive that Graves burst damage. Graves burst not quite as high as you'd like it to be. 0, 4, and 2 does have 192 farm, but not doing quite as much damage as he needs to. Fabi, despite missing a lot of his burst in those situations, just has those empowered Sheen auto attacks that just do so much work. Grigney now using that ward site to clear it out. Zingy more than happy to try to trade off some damage here. Fabi looking like a beast here. You know, I criticized him in the early game for his play, and of course we know he's going to go down to PewDiePie's Will of the Ancients Nunu. He's going to throw out that snowball. Follow up from Love Lava. Love Lava burning the ult there. May have wanted that kill for himself, but PewDiePie pulling out the snowball, wanting to get a little more AP on this Nunu. Already has all the armor he could need. And of course a little bit of spell vamp now as well. So Fabi, as I mentioned in the laning phase, was struggling a lot against Graves in the early game. Soraka obviously keeping him healed made it even harder to trade than it normally is. But now, in this mid to late game, just playing so well, following up on his team kills, and following up on a lot of these catches. Zingy as well, doing so well to use that knockup from Vel'Koz to get in a lot of these situations to pull out a catch, following up on the slows provided from the rest of his team. And of course, that is now the 3rd dragon coming in for Nightblue's squad. Nightblue, of course, earlier I thought they had it, and I mentioned how the movement speed buff will just come in huge for the team here. And now that they actually do have it, it's going to be even more difficult for QtPie's squad to do much of anything. You see the QtPie squad moving as 5 here to try to clear wards, splitting up whatever farm is around, but you know, there's not a whole lot of farm options available. Love Lava is going to clear out bot lane. The remaining 3 members going to clear out mid, putting as much farm into Ethel as possible, trying to use that Blood Boil to push Ethel's power forward at this stage in the game. Ethel, of course, a very confident player, has carried a lot of games in these past seasons, but it looks like they're going to be able to do a whole lot here when Golden Blue has the lockup. They're going to kill Golden Blue, however. Zenithal is immediately going to follow up. Has to be careful here, though. Is going to get ulted out. I'm a PewDiePie going to be able to follow with the snowball. Not a whole lot of options. Doesn't have the shield there. The shield coming in. PewDiePie flashing. Is going to get the snowball, so it looks like J4 will go down. PewDiePie now going to look to turn to a Zingy, but is not ready to fight Fabi in this situation. Nightblue dodging a lot of those skill shots there. Love Lava has to flash out. Nightblue has to be careful here. He does get blocked by the minions. He's going to get stunned into the turret and will go down immediately. Excellent stun and excellent flash coming out from Love Lava. Good movement from Zen the Solo King, and a little bit of a sloppy engage from Golden Blue. Did not have Zen the Solo King there to follow up immediately, and as a result, was not able to kill the Soraka. Did have to give his life up for that. So that right there, not the kind of trade you want to be making at this stage in the game. Going even in these trades extends the game that much longer, and the longer you extend the game, the less this gold lead is going to mean. So despite the fact that Nightblue squad once again still has about a 9k gold lead, it's going to mean less and less as the game goes on. 26 minutes, that's pretty huge, but at 40 or 50, if they can keep this game going, it's going to be almost meaningless. Xerath looking like an excellent pick for QtPie's team. I was skeptical in the beginning. You know, it doesn't have a whole lot of mobility compared to the rest of the team. Similar to the Soraka pick, it really lacks in that, but it does have a ton of wave clear, and when you're behind, that's the kind of thing you want. You know, it's functioning a lot like that Ziggs pick would. Able to clear out those waves quickly, able to protect those towers, and honestly, with the Xerath ult, able to fall off a lot more efficiently than Ziggs would in a lot of those situations. Ethel now 1-5 and 3, happy to have picked up a kill. You know, less than ideal ratio, still less than 1.0 KDA, but does have the Vamp Scepter now. May look to get that Bloodthirster. Obviously, Graves has such excellent AD scaling. They look like they're going to get the pinch here onto Grigney. No Grigney caught out. Not a whole lot you can do. You can see Golden Blue coming over the wall, and of course, both Lee Sin and Zen the Solo King, Nightblue and Zen the Solo King there to follow up. The Lee Sin Jarvan combo is just too strong. Golden Blue now looking to clear out the vision that he saw placed down on the side of the ward, or on the side of the wall. He's going to try to back and forth with Biofrost there. Now the whole team may look to push out this top lane. They have to be careful how they dive, but diving is definitely an option. They have about 10k gold lead now. Zemnisol being silenced immediately. Good choice for this rocket. Use that silence so well, but of course there's too much damage coming in. Cutie-Pie gonna try to take someone down here. Is gonna get immediately bladed the Ring King by Fabian. Of course picked up by the team there. Sandra damage plus the Jarvan damage, as I mentioned earlier, is just so very hard to deal with. And despite the fact that this is obviously not a pinch, a very wide open base with that J4 pick, you can kind of create these opportunities to just get the maximum value out of Lissandra's AoE damage. And there you can see how well it was utilized. You know, on an even team fight that may have been a sloppy engage and may have been able to punish, but when you have such a substantial gold lead coming in from Nightblue's side, there's not really a whole lot of options for Cutie-Pie's squad there. They just really had to give up that turret, and instead of just giving it up, they ended up giving up a bunch of kills and the turret as well. Now the team at this point, Cutie-Pie's teams. Pause is coming out. We may have some connection issues. Curious to see exactly what's going to happen here. Looks like we have a player DC'd, and we will have them connect shortly. In the meantime, talk a little bit about what happened in this game and what led to a lot of these leads. Now remember that Nightblue did pick Lee Sin, so the early game was pretty much definitively in his control. Grigney unfortunately tried to force a lot of plays, and as a result gave up a lot of kills. Excellent ward control from Golden Glue kind of tied us into that early advantage, and then was transitioned very well by Zen the Solo King, Golden Glue, and Nightblue moving to create plays across the map. Nightblue definitely the MVP so far in this match. Curious to see exactly how the rest of it's going to work out. Obviously a 20 kill lead coming in for Nightblue's squad, and that's going to be huge. Nightblue always looking for those plays, always kicking people back into the team, and just doing so much work in these situations. So guys, it looks like we might have to pause for a few more minutes here, so I'm going to cut to a quick break so I can rest my voice before we continue to move forward. This is, of course, Game 1 in the best of 5 of Nightblue versus Cutie-Pie. 28-8, substantial gold lead. We'll leave this up on the screen here just for a little bit for you so you can view it all yourself, look at the itemization, maybe take some notes for what you want to do. Maybe take some notes from Nightblue's side, though, because let's be real, looking pretty strong right now. All right, guys, we will be right back. Alright guys, we are back. Looks like we did get the player able to reconnect, so the game is going to continue forward as promised. So it looks like we have a 12k gold lead for Nightblue's squad. So for those of you who are just joining us, some fabulous playmaking from Nightblue's team and a little bit of sloppy movement from Cutie-Pie's team has led us to the stage in the game. Nightblue's team now playing incredibly confident, diving towers. They do have that inhibitor down in the top lane. Curious to see where they take it from here. Cutie-Pie's squad having a rough start, but starting to look better and better as this game moves forward. Cutie-Pie himself now 3-4-3, maybe not the best score, but when you look at this, in terms of how his team is doing, he is actually having a reasonable impact here. Not something I really expected from your top pick. Golden Blue has to be careful here. He looks like he may get caught out. Fabi does so much damage though. Golden Blue burning his cooldown and making Fabi go down for that wall. And then Channel is going to come out there. Zingy, of course, now doing so much damage himself. Does have a lot of AP. Frost Queen's playing Morel and Amicon and the Blasting Wand, giving him so much damage in these situations. Nightblue easily going to be able to solo Biofrost here. Golden Blue will be there to follow up if necessary. Nightblue, of course, has so much damage to this stage in the game. He's going to do very well as Zingy using those hot beat, dodging those Xerath ults. Love gonna get caught out here, and meanwhile Zen the Soul King is split pushing the bottom lane. Looks like he will go for the inhibitor, or looks like he may push with the super minion wave to try to end the game. Nightblue now gonna go on to Love does have double buff at this stage of the game, but Nightblue waiting for him to be mid animation before reactivating the Q, not looking to get stunned out. Love is going to, however, pick up the kill on his Zingy, is going to get the 1-for-1 at least before this game ends. And meanwhile, Zen the Soul King is going to try to take this down. Cutie-Pie and Grigney on the way to try to stop him. Zen the Soul King getting a single turret, or single inhibitor turret, and a single Nexus turret in that exchange. So good play overall. May have looked to get the inhibitor instead, but probably believed that he could have ended the game. Rest of his team, however, a little focused on getting kills in that situation. Not looking to push out the objectives. Feeling pretty confident. 33-11 now. 14k gold lead. Just an absolute massacre for Nightblue's squad. Doing so well. Nightblue Probably going to get this Lee Sin banned away next game. We'll see how that affects him. But of course, QtPie's lineup does still have a few opportunities to get back. Love slowly recouping. Does now have a lot of damage. Has the Void Staff. Has the Death Cap. Has the Morellonomicon as well. So maybe able to recoup a lot of the losses he sustained in that game. But of course, on the opposite side, you see Lissandra almost a complete Sonya up on him. So one item ahead. So much work in these games. You can see when Nightblue squad picks these playmaking champions, regardless of how the players have played together in the past, the way these champions works is that they have to go in and they have to make plays, and so as long as you stay together and you stay grouped, you're always going to win that straight up 5v5 team fight. Whereas QtPie's squad takes a little bit more finesse. You know, QtPie himself does always want to get off that full channel absolute zero, but against a team with so much CC, it's very hard, so you have to be very careful about how you coordinate those cooldowns, and very careful about how your team works and how you engage team fights. But of course, on the opposite side, pop that Lissandra ult, pop that J4 ult, someone's going to die. Every team fight, every time. There's absolutely no question about that. Even with Biofrost on that Soraka, even if they're able to heal up just about any situation. QtPie squad, though, I mentioned earlier how they may need to take a Desperation Baron to try to get something out of this game. And it looks like this is what they have, what they have opted to do. They are going to immediately back off, though. They will have to give up an inhibitor here just for making that attempt. You can see Lissandra, Corki, and Vel'Koz down in the bot lane. Tons of burst damage there. Soraka has to be careful about walking too far forward. You can see immediately a Zingy, despite being very pushy, running forward there. Nightblue looks like he may go down here. Is going to kick QtPie away. Has to be careful. Zen the Solar King immediately falling up. Going to take out Ziggy. Zen the Solar King coming in to save Nightblue, saving his team cap. Wanted him to keep that 10-4-11 record. Keep that gold to it. Meanwhile, does so much damage to Sandra. Not normally a champion able to burst out 80 carries, but when you're so far ahead, just does so much work. Now, of course, all 5 members up from Nightblue squad, and it looks like this will be them ending the game at 32 minutes. 35 to 11, 61.1k to 45.9, 10 turrets to 1. You can see definitively Nightblue squad looking very confident, diving the Nexus even, giving up a couple kills even. Nightblue himself going down in the last few minutes. Not too concerned about it though. As long as they don't ban his Lee Sin away. Nightblue playing out of his mind in that game, making such confident plays. Guys, we will be back for game 2.